everyone, and welcome to today's stream. Today's stream is quite an important one for me. Basically, a few of you in the crafting world will have heard about a big craft stroke artist stroke designer in Crafters Companion who was recently accused of copyright infringements of a very high scale. Within a month, another artist has also been accused, and there is very, very strong evidence against them. I'm on the fence, quite literally. I'm walking out in the middle on this one, because at the end of the day, the evidence is looking very damning against them, and they were meant to be on the TV craft program Hachanda, and their program that they were scheduled to do was pulled off the air. So the TV channel has taken this very seriously, and there is another pending investigation. Now, the issue is mainly coming up where somebody sees an image, for example, what's an example? I don't know, they look online and they see an image that they really like. So a photo of a person dressed in some really cool clothes or something like that, and they've got a deadline to meet. I'm not making excuses, by the way, this is seriously not making excuses, but for an artist in a craft company, they are going to have very, very strict deadlines. They're going to have a very heavy brief, and they are going to have to work with manufacturers and other companies to get a product up. It's not a case of doodle it off, send it off, it's done. It's got to be proofed, it's got to be processed, it's got to be makeable into the products that are designed. So stamps, embossing boards, die cuts, all that sort of thing. So whatever the design is, it's got to fit all of those criteria, well, depending on what the company is doing. Bear with me, I've got a light shining directly in my eyeballs. So they've got all of those remits to do, and for some reason, I don't know if it is because of these pressures, some of the artists seem to have, like I say, I'm not saying yay or nay to any of this, they seem to have gone online, picked up some images, not got the official permissions or copyrights, and copied them directly. Maybe made a few literally microscopic teeny weeny tweaks, and then sent that forward, and the craft companies have not checked. They've trusted the artist, and they've not checked if the stuff was copyrighted, if it is a copy, if it's the original work from the artist with preliminary sketches and things like that, and it's gone ahead to production. It's then been found out, and then all hell's broken loose, because the original content creators are now up in arms. They're wanting compensation, they're wanting the products taken offline, all this is kicking off. And in truth, the people who are being accused of doing it, this has destroyed them. So you got to remember that it's a witch hunt right now online. It's really bad, and I'm being honest to you guys. I'm seeing a huge amount through the craft forums, and some of the behaviours are not acceptable. People who are not involved in these things need to be very careful, because they could say something that could really upset the balance. And when there is legal investigation going on to it, people just need to trust the companies a weeny bit, and I mean a weeny bit, just have that teeny bit of trust in them that they will resolve the issues. But it does take time. This is not a done issue. This is something that's got to go full audit investigation, in a sense, and then with the possibility of court cases, legal processes, because some of the original copyright owners are going to want compensation. They are going to take it to court, and the companies could do several things to the artists involved. They can cut them off and say it wasn't anything to do with us, and throw the artist well and truly under the bus with it. Or the company could say, well, they're our employee, we will take the case on. So there's a lot in the background, and either way, it is damning to the artist and it is damning to the company, and it breaks that trust. So that is why I'm doing this little video, because I want to get people's trust in artists, in craft companies back. We don't all do these things where we see a photo, put it down, do the outline, anything like that. A lot of us do work from raw materials. For me alone, I work on, I will work from my own photos, but not 100% copied. I would never ever 100% copy them. But what I wanted to show you guys today is these little figurines. And these are models of people. There's a male, here he is, he's a big boy, isn't he? And a female. Now these are available online. I think Bandai do them. And these are absolutely brilliant for three-dimensional drawings when you want to know a person's pose. And yes, she is a weeny bit well endowed, but you can proportion and change things. These are fully flexible. The joints are designed to move as a person would. And they've got little holes in the back, and you get, when you buy these sort of kits, you get spare hands, you get spare legs, and all different poses, and you get braces, so you can pose them like they're flying and things like that. They are quite delicate, but I've used these before when I've been out and I've seen something and I thought, oh gosh, that's clever. I've come back home and I've used one or two of these to set up a pose. They can freestand when they want to, can't you? But it depends on your manipulation of the spine and the hip to get them to stand. So say for a day I've been out and I've seen some people dressed absolutely amazingly. I'll ask permission from the person to take a photo, and then I'll come home and I'll think, well, I like the dress, maybe there's something I didn't like. And then I'll use these little figurines to pick a pose. She's not going to stand though, is she? She's going to be a pain. You can sit down, can't you, darling? She can sit just there. And then build it up from there. But just use the photo as a very light reference material, not a direct copy. Now, drawing people isn't hard. Look. So, the most basic way to draw a person, and not worrying about proportion, because I know people say a person is so many heads tall, so many fingers wide. I can't apply that rule to everybody. You take a size 8 person who's 6 foot, then take a size 18 person who's 4 foot. It's very, very different. And also your weight ratios are important. So the easiest way that I would draw a person is blocking the head with an oval and a little bit of a bulge back here. A straight line, put a line across for the shoulders, put a line in for the hips. And that's what I would go. And then 2 lines off the side, 2 lines off the hip, and that's my basic person. If I'm out field sketching, that's how basic I can keep it. If I've got time, then I'll put a neck in, I'll put the shoulders in, I'll put the ribs in, the abdomen in, the hips in, thigh, knee, leg, thigh, knee, leg, shoulder, which of course shoulder blade goes down there, elbow to the ribs, which is here, lower arm to the hip here, hand down. And that's how literally I will pull something up. And me, I don't really do faces, so I would leave the head really blank. So within a few seconds, hopefully you can see, there we go, there's a person, it's in a pose. Now I can take that and put clothes on that. So that is how you can rough build from that little sketch. Yes, it takes time. And if I've got a deadline of a week to get 5 designs of people in a certain periodic dress, you know what I mean, then yeah, I may be looking for poses. So I might go online and say, well, let's have a look at some poses other people have. But you know what I would do personally? I wouldn't bother going online. Why do you need to go online to get photos? I call a colleague over. Hey, Jason, would you mind coming and just standing over there? Can you stick one arm in the air and stick the other one outside, got it out to the side, and just balance on your tippy toes for me? I'm going to take a photo on my phone. Okay. All done. That's all I needed. I'm walking down the street and I see something that I really like, a pose of. Once again, it's just get the line of action. Doesn't matter how. There, literally a second to get a line of action. That's all I need. I could fill up a whole book, 80 pages of these little things. They look rough, they look scrappy. But when I want to do a proper drawing and I want a really unique, nice pose that doesn't look static, that looks special, I'll go to that book filled with these and I will go through them. So there is no need to go on the internet and look for your reference photos. If you're stuck for clothing, go to a charity shop, get some clothing bits. You can pick it up at charity shops, seriously, especially around Halloween if you want frilly blouses. In fact, there's a frilly blouse I really want. I think it's from Accessorize. It's 45 quid. I'm going to wear it, I know that, but if I get it in the size that fits me, which is quite big, other people will be able to fit into it. And if I want to take a photo, I do a selfie in the mirror. On my phone, done. Got my reference photo. So there is no need for any of the artists to really look through magazines. There are ways of doing it. If you really want to understand clothing, get a fashion book. Don't copy directly from the fashion book. Use it. Look at the materials if you want to know something. Lace, silk, cotton, sacking. Geez. Not every peasant in the medieval England got to wear fine silk. So look at hemp, how that material is. Fine textures. Even if you can get little sample squares. Get some sample squares of different materials from a haberdashery shop. We've got one in Weymouth where you can get an absolute ton of cut-offs. It's like a bargain bin. And I go there to get the velour stuff because I just love it. It's crushy and smoothing. And in fact, actually, hang on, without blowing up the machine. Right, this lovely material. It's cotton. Sorry, mate. It's a damn big bit. It's a seriously nice piece. This cost me 50p. Okay, so I've got somebody who's wearing a cotton dress, and part of the dress is collapsed down. If I want to know how the dress is going to fold, I can wriggle it a bit, and when a material touches the ground, I can see where my folds are, where my lights and my darks are. It's a longer-winded process, yes, than looking in a magazine or copying directly, but I know that what I'm drawing is the real thing. I can take my sketchbooks, I can show the sample materials I've used, I can show my own photos of the process, and I will have a complete chain of evidence to how I came up with the original drawing. Now, I know every artist is different, and like I say, everyone has deadlines to work to and things like that, but there are ways around it. And if anything, if there are craft companies out there who are giving stupid deadlines that are far too tight for the artist to meet to produce a safe image, then they need to really have a darn good rethink about that, because this shouldn't be the case. So let's take our little sketchy figure here. We'll do St. Easter in a minute. So I've got my figure and I want to put him into a fancy frocky jacket thing. Oh, and for anybody thinking I'm near a computer, my computer is literally a metre off in that direction. I'm nowhere near it, so I can't see my screen. So hi to anybody who's watching. I can't see the chat, I can't see anything. So here's my little figure. I've not got any reference material next to me, but I know a coat's got a collar, hasn't it? And there's these lovely gothic-y coats where they go slightly up, so I know where the waist is. Now this person could be wearing a jacket, So, or a waistcoat underneath. So if we put a waistcoat in there, some nice buttons. And we're going to do the coat here. We'll pull it back. And remembering that the coat fits over the form. Doesn't always hug, though there are some really lovely coats out there right now. Now we know it goes over the shoulder. It's slightly wider than the arms. And there's often a seam on the shoulder. So it kind of meets in a V bit. So in a sense, it's having some knowledge of clothing, how it fits on the form. I'm no expert. I'm literally a doodler. I know nothing about fabric, fashion, or any of that dubris. But I've seen enough people and enough clothes to have a darn good idea of how things fit together. So a little bit, and there'll be like marks around that bit. So trousers. Well, we all know a lot of trousers. So this guy's got a waistcoat on underneath it. That's got to go around the back of the neck. So trousers. I'm going to shorten up the knees slightly. You do get a little bit of material coming with marks. But there we go. Trousers go around the legs. And if it's a guy, you'll have a fly. There'll be crease marks if the limb is moved. So now I'll just fill that in with some colour where it needs to be filled. Let's put the trousers in purple, just so we can see what's going where. So there's a guy in a gothic style jacket with a waistcoat on. I'll just make that waistcoat a bit more obvious. But if we do the waistcoat, these are random colours just to give you a demo. So the waistcoat in green, same, but that would be a different colour, of course. In fact, the waistcoat will need to go that way. I can use, I've got a skin colour. I'm literally just grabbing random colours. Okay. And of course he has little shoes on. But there's my rough sketch. That's literally how simple we can go from the straight line wiggly bit, flesh it out, add some clothes, and voila. Now, like I say, that is very, very rough. If I took that to a company and said make a stamp out of that, I would be laughed out of the building. So that's absolutely fine. If you're going to do a stamp or a cut, that's when you tidy things up. And this is where, if you weren't sure on how materials work or what to do with something, this is where you can kind of go have a look in the book and just try and take that view, that material, and wrap it around someone. Or if you've got a jacket or something that looks the same, get a friend to pose in it, take a photo and walk around them, take the photo so you get 360-degree look and go from that. But just don't copy directly from a fashion magazine. It's insulting. So I'm just going to neaten up a couple of little bits. Now, this isn't a perfect drawing by any means. This is just for demo purposes. So I just want to show you how easy and simple this whole thing should be. And a few of you, if you've seen my Facebook page, you will have seen I've put a little thing up there with a pledge saying that I do not and will not take any copyrighted image or use it, which I've never done anyway. I use only my own reference material, which I've gone out and taken photos of, and I know the story behind. And I certainly wouldn't copy from a magazine. I mean, that's just, yeah. Just a little head on there. So that's taken from stick figure to outlined sketch, and then if I need to, I can take that further. That's 20 minutes. So that's probably the same amount of time that you would take if you were doing things the fast way. Now, these little guys that I introduced you to, this is where these can come in really handy, because if you've seen some nice material, or you've got someone to dress up in their outfit, which is actually quite fun to do, and you decide that you've got your clothing reference, but the poses that you've got are very static or not what you want. This is where these models come in, because when you shine the light on these models, you can pick out all of the areas which are in shadow, which are in light, and this helps you work out where your material shadow and light needs to come. So I'm just going to put this guy into a little pose. So I need his spine. I mean, yeah, it does help to understand how people move and such, but there's nothing stopping you from getting a friend to hold a camera recorder or your phone and film yourself walking up and down a road for a couple of minutes and just look at where your feet are, where your back is, all of those things. You're going to be a pain today, aren't you? Yes, you will. I can't believe this. He was being absolutely perfect earlier. There we go. Shoulders slightly out, but I can live with that. So I've got my little figure. I've got him in a pose that I like. I've got an idea of what I want to dress him in. So we're going to do this in different layers. So it's going to be uber colourful. So I'm going to start with a red pencil and work out the skeleton. Just need to sharpen my pencil. Oh, there goes my kneecap. So, right. So, I'm seeing him from a different angle than you guys will see him, so forgive the angles. So, I'm actually crouching right down here. Oh gosh, my kneecaps. So, starting off with my skeleton. Look at it, feeling something's going to fall on the floor in a minute. Okay, which I can actually take that leg slightly further back. This leg was slightly forward, and I want that foot there. And he's fallen over, but I know that that arm needs to be there. Okay, so that's a couple of seconds of sketching. So I'm going to neaten that up now, just slightly, not brilliantly. So as I say, this is just rough sketching. So I'm going to flesh him out, and I can now use this model . And I'm going to take this leg slightly further back. So we're just altering the pose slightly. There's no biggie. Then make sure it's in line with the ribs. And we're going to add a little prop. And I can just make a couple of changes there. So there we are, flushed out. So there's my pose of somebody walking. So, next stage. He's going to be cold. He needs some clothes. So, let's see, what could he be wearing? My simple thing to draw in life is shorts and t-shirt. You can even turn it into underwear if you really want to. Because most of the time, 90% of the time, a t-shirt is quite close fitting. And most chaps' t-shirts, the shirts sleeves aren't that long. Our chap's got that's a bit of muscle there. Chest, ribs. Now, his trousers aren't gonna bend as much. And he needs a little backside, doesn't he? He needs a teeny weeny little backside. So there he is, basic clothed. T-shirt, trousers. Right, should we take it another step? From t-shirts to trousers, let's try something a little bit more. I'm hoping this is going to work. From t-shirt to shorts. To full length leather coat. So we've changed his image. So in red we've got the main body, purple t-shirt and shorts, green we've now got him in a full length leather coat, which I've got at home. I love him. That's a thought. I really must wax mine. Mine needs a... Only thing with leather coats and stuff, you got to keep on the waxing, otherwise they dry out and they crack. I've had mine for over 20 years. They last beautifully and they're so good for weather. So he's now much more clothed. He's probably nice and warm. Certainly will be weatherproof. So what else can we add? Hat. Remembering the curvature of the head. And hat wise, in fact, bear me 2 seconds. Let me show you something. Oh, I'm blinded by my lights. Next change I need to have my lights on, don't I? Where is she? Oh, there she is. this is a box. And inside this box, it cost me under 30 quid. Now you can get these cheaper at places like Fun and Frolics. Oh, I haven't seen you for a while, have you, darling? Right. First off, masks. These Wilkinsons at Halloween, £1. So if you want to add some decorative costume jewellery, it's cheap. I can put that down, I can map that out. This, ladies and gentlemen, is my hat. Now this hat is a riding hat, so for dressage, it's a proper dressage hat, fully lined. And what I did was I basically got some bargain, this is bargain basement material after Halloween. I love this stuff. So I just wrapped around, did a wrap around the hat, and this is actually one of my necklaces. It's quite a special necklace of mine, and I use it to hold the material in place. And this is a necklace that I made by using bits from Alchemy Gothic and other companies, and then wooden beads, just kind of tribal look. Yeah, you're good. And this hat, like I say, and even this used to be a hair clip, but it's solid pewter, but the backing broke. It's the only problem with the hair clips that I used to get through tons of them, and this is such a shame to waste, so didn't waste, just pinned it into there, so that holds the trail. But if I'm stuck for how to draw a hat, this is my reference hat. Now I'm not saying go out and buy a wardrobe, because at the end of the day that's money where you don't maybe need to spend it. But have a look in the carnival shop type places, because you can quite often find something. And if you've got someone who's willing to play dress up for you, then it's all well and good. So look, our little guy's now got a hat on. So from literally that skeleton, using a figure just to help me with my pose and my lighting, we've built up a figure. So how can I make this guy any neater? I'm going to bring in the biro. Like I said, I don't specialise in faces. Well, it looks like I don't specialise in biros either. There's never a piece of working equipment when you want one. Let's find... My desk is not at in its cleanest. Will you work? No. Right, from my nose. Right. So then it's just a case, if you are doing a design for a stamp, start to map out your outlines. If you've got someone who can dress up in the clothing, then that'll help you with your materials. I remember me and my brother, we used to dress up for going to Camden Market, places like that. But this guy, I'm going to add a little bit of the frilling. And it used to be amazing how well people dressed up. And the outfits were absolutely beautiful. done a slight mistake there, that's absolutely fine because that's going to be in shadow. A lot of the coats, the old-fashioned style ones, used to have a split at the back, and that was literally just there to make sure that the movement of the coat was nice and simple. This guy would normally be wearing, of course, something like new rock boots. Or we're just blocking some very basic shapes for boots. Now, my drawing isn't going to be 100% because I need to refine a detail down. Add a little bit of hatching. A couple of little shapes. Just map out roughly where ears, eyes and bits like that are. And there's your outline for your person. And you can take that as far as you want. You can then, if you, once you get to a point and you think, oh, I can't overlay anymore, or if you don't want to overlay each one, then sure, bring in another bit of paper, redo your overlay. But that is overlaying from your original work, from that original stick figure, and you can, instead of doing it all in one as I've done, do each one on a separate paper. So start with one page, your stick person, overlay, do your body, overlay, do your clothes. The thing is, if you try and practice doing that, you're going to learn something and you're going to get better and better. Taking a photo and just drawing around the outline, that's not going to teach you anything apart from how to go around an outline. But if you work from your own photos, if you try and use model things and you go out, get some materials and have a go at drawing different materials, you're going to get better. So this is something I would recommend for anybody who is currently working for a craft company and is being asked to do a lot of designs and such. Wherever possible, please, for the love of all of the companies, for your own self, don't copy from magazines, don't go hunting copyrighted images, get creative and do what artists are good at doing. I'm no good at drawing people. I've never been any good at drawing people. I'm animals. I'm you know, cutesy Pokemon things. I'm fluffy bunnies and, you know, me. I'm all about the wildlife. I'm not people, but I know how to do it. And with more and more work, I will be able to draw people. But I'm not cheating when I'm doing it. I'm not just stenciling. I'm not just copying. I'm working a process to draw. A few of you know that I did a drawing of two violinists, and I started off from original base photos of the girl, and it was one girl, and I rotated her, I changed the colours, and I changed parts of the dress that she was wearing, and I worked a huge amount of work on changes because I liked the dress and I liked some of the poses, but not the way that the poses were facing. So I changed her anatomy and quite a lot. And the drawing that came out looks nothing at all like a lot of the photos. And that's how I did it. But I used my own reference material and I did not trace, which is quite hilarious. But that is why I just wanted to show you guys that it is quite possible and quite easy to create something. Now, a few of you are probably thinking, a bloke, that's easy, clothes tend to stick to chaps quite simply. Right. So, round, neck, shoulders, chest, ribs, torso, hip, leg, arm 1, in, arm 2, out, clothing. Because of the hip, this is going to be tight because the leg is swinging out. 1 fold, 2 fold, 3 fold. Follow the contour of the body. Bring it up, bring it out. And remember that's an oval under here. There's a 3D shape. Bring it up, bring it up. Corset. Meant to give you a wasp-like figure, zig, zig, zig. Corsets often sit below the breasts. Go as big as you like. Frilly thing on the corner. Frilly thing on the corner of the shoulder bits. Bust, comes along, comes up, opens the shoulder, comes up, cuts round, gives an exposed neck and chest, breastbone, head, hair, hey, I've got hair, arm comes out, stroke pose, arm comes over, stroke pose. Corsets often have a V to them to point downwards. Lady in a dress. Once you know your basic shapes of clothing, it's not so hard to simply draw a figure in a dress or a figure in a suit. Just work it from the bottom and bring it up. If you feel you need inspiration, go outside with a camera and find it. I mean, I'm not saying that 100% people shouldn't be looking in magazines. I mean, I have about 200 reference books from animal anatomy all the way through to dinosaurs, through to fashion, all sorts. But when I draw, I will only, if I have to glance at them, I will glance at them. I won't sit and study it and think, oh, I can do that, that, and that. I'll literally just use the tiniest bit. But I'll keep it in my head. And I'll remember that when the lady's got her limbs stretched out, so if you're stood with one leg here, and then, yeah, this one's leg, her leg is not the best. Good old Bando. So ballroom classic dancing. You can sometimes hit into a pose where you are, let me remember this correctly, one arm up. Her hands come off. Oh, that's going to take forever to fix. So you can often be in more of that sort of pose. But in ballroom dancing, quite often you have to lean back. That completely changes your proportions, doesn't it? Yes. And your leg position can be out because you're putting your toe down. So that's where one of these figures can come in very handy, because you can see where the light and shadow is on the body and how the curve is affected. Also, if I really, really, really was stuck, what I would do is get a tiny piece of material and make a little skirt. And then I can follow that contour line. So I just wanted to bring this video out and show you guys that we're not, 90% of us artists out there will not be doing what the people who lately have been doing. We don't do that. A lot of us do work from the bare bones. So that is why I think it needs to be said that it is a shame that these accusations have come to light at the end of the day, when the whole thing shouldn't have happened. But I don't feel that the artists themselves are 100% to blame, because there is more going on in the background than a lot of people will ever know about. Like I say, it's no excuse. At the end of the day, people need to take responsibility for their own actions. But people should also say and be honest to their bosses and say, look, I was really tight. I used this reference material. I've kind of copied it a bit. Can you check both together and tell me if I'm okay to do this? And put it out there. Let the bosses know that that's the situation. Communicate. Honestly, communication will sort out a lot of things. And then if the boss says, yeah, that's fine, then you can go ahead, and it's kind of their fault for agreeing it. But also, as an artist, if you're using a photo online, even if you've gone onto DeviantArt and you found a stock photo thing, read through the description, message the person and say, I would like to use your thing, talk, and check what legal rights you have. A lot of artists are happy-ish to let you use stock work, but you must credit them, and that's quite an important thing, and also ask permission. So it comes down to that communication thing again. But I hope this has given you a little bit of an idea of how easy you can put a person together. And like I say, it takes practice. You cannot escape the great practice. And the thing is, actually, instead of just copying stuff from a book, if you find your own poses and you can get materials and things like that together, you can come up with some real, truly unique and special designs which nobody else will have, and that will make your work stand out far more than anything else out on the market. Ta-da! But yeah, so I hope that's given you some food for thought and some inspiration to have a go at drawing people and drawing them in clothes. I can't recommend any fashion books because I don't really have anything that I would recommend. Most of my fashion stuff is built from my own photo library. If you're looking for people who are dressed in kind of steampunk, Victorian, Gothic, anything like that, I would recommend going to the Whitby Goth Festival. It's an alternative festival where people can dress up and just enjoy the whole thing. It's an amazing event. I've been once. I would love to go again, but it's like the other side of the country and it takes a very, very, very long drive. Literally almost like a day of driving. But the inspiration that I got there was stunning. The whole atmosphere, it's just seeing is believing there. But if then on the other hand you want to say draw historical figures more of farmland, things like that, there's places like it's like an agricultural museum in Reading in Berkshire. That is a stunner. They've got all the old equipment there. But your local museums will have stuff. I mean, here in Dorchester, when the Dorset Museum opens up, it's closed right now. They've got a piece all about famous authors, and they've got some of the outfits that the people would have worn at the time, the buildings, room setups, furniture, all that sort of thing. It can help if you see it and you think about it. So that is what I would say, is keep looking for your inspiration and come away from the magazines and the books and find it on your own, because it is out there. Go to a charity shop, find clothing in there. I'm at whenever where I work has a kind of fancy dress up for money thing. My God, people dress up amazingly. Some of the girls even make their own dresses, and you won't see anything else like it. But it's absolutely brilliant and very, very inspiring. So anyway, enough waffling from me, because I'm good at waffles, and waffles with blueberries and coconut cream. I'm getting hungry. But yeah, have a go at drawing people. Go outside and look at the world, watch the world, sit in a coffee shop and just sketch the people around you. Or sometimes though, check with the coffee shop if you're okay to do that. I've had to ask a couple of times. It's just so everyone's comfortable. You've got to let things be natural. But yeah, get your own reference library built. I've got, I think currently on one computer, I've got 35,000 photos. it's a huge reference library. But I can tell the difference now. If I want to draw a cockapoo, or if I want to draw a Doberman Pinscher, if I want to draw a greyhound or anything like that, because most of my reference library is animals. I've got lions, tigers, zebra, snow leopards, all sorts of things. Birdies, squirrels, and I do have people. I've got even family members, but the poses are absolutely brilliant for looking at figures, proportion, and things like that. There we go. They've got a slight hound with them. You just build up that little skeleton, and away you go. A man walking past a lady from the bar with a dog following. Simples. So yeah, I hope this helped inspire you. These little figures you can get online. These are tiny and they are very expensive and they are fragile. So if you're going to get these, just prepare to shell out some cash. And it's not something you can wrench around. It's not like the wooden figurines. These are much more delicate. But I would say they are pretty darn good. You can get you get one per kit most of the time. Oh, he's going for a spin. So till next time, all the best to everybody. Please keep being inspired by the world around you. Keep drawing, keep practicing, because the more you practice, the better you'll get. All the best and happy drawing to you all.